On time. Time goes fast and slow. It flies, it drags, it tells, it takes. It never stops. Its measure? Pressure. The alarm, the clock, the countdown, the calendar, the birthdays, the holidays, the seasons, the happy new years, the dates, the 5-year plans, the beginnings, the goals, the graduations, the wrinkles, the ends, the joys, the pains, the expiration dates, our expiration dates. Time's a gift and a curse. It's wasted, it's sacred, it's money. It never stops. Its measure? Pressure. We count the seconds, the minutes, the hours, the days, the weeks, the moons and months, the seasons, the years, the decades, the centuries, the eras, the past. It all means nothing. Stop counting, it goes on just the same. Regardless of our last breath, mindless of our regrets, it never stops. Dismissive of our plans, oblivious to our existence, it never stops. But when our time comes, it suddenly ends and goes on just the same. Welcome to the Memento Mori Lab podcast. I'm Mayra, your host and aspiring writer friend. The topic for today is my worst enemy, and it doesn't even know I exist. It's commonly known as time. If you have a healthy relationship with time, this might not be the episode for you. I don't want to be the one to ruin things between you two. And if you don't have one, then we have something in common. As usual, I have no clue how to quote unquote solve this issue, and it's not a tips and tricks kind of thing. This lab is more of an exploration of questions rather than definitive answers. Alright, now that I've already wasted some time here, let's talk about it. Ticking clocks haunt us everywhere we look. We are always late for something or waiting for something. We wait for the clock to say, it's now acceptable to eat lunch, but you can no longer call it breakfast. I'll let you call it brunch, but not breakfast. And we wait for hours to pass, hoping to skip ahead on the calendar so that Friday gets here faster. And when it does, we blink and it's Monday. We are left wondering if the time moved at all. Our wrinkles tend to confirm that it did. And that calls for a poem titled, This Is Me Trying. This is me trying. 7 a.m., my alarm goes off. It's Monday. Or Thursday. Work is a few steps away, but it never felt further apart. I question if it's worth the pain or the poem. I drag my feet across the hall, socks on, sit in front of the computer, right on time. I watch the clock tire itself out, carefully ticking, showing me how well it can tick and talk, taking longer each minute to find the next. Dreading the seconds between hours, waiting for the arrival of 5 p.m. when I no longer care about its job. I am fascinated by how our perception of time changes depending on what we're doing, the time of day, our mood, and so on. I guess Einstein clocked this one. It's almost funny how absurd it is that when we enjoy what we're doing, time flies, but when we dread the activity, the clock ticks slower. In my mind, it's absurd because if life is about finding shining moments of happiness, why is it they go by in a heartbeat, while the painful ones linger much longer than we would like them to? And at the same time, we aim for longevity. If we live a long life of boring activities, it will feel like we lived much longer, right? And if we do what we love every day, won't life go by too fast? This is such a complicated relationship. And what about the constant feeling of we don't have enough time? Why did we create such a monster? At first, I'm sure people thought it was a great idea, clocks and all, like eating dessert after dinner. Even the worst ideas seem to be great at some point, like sushi pizza. I'm not even entirely sure what that is, but yeah, not great. How come no one came forward and said, hey, this whole time clock and measuring thing is a bad idea? Or someone would have said, it's gonna drive people crazy, it will kill people. But they didn't care, because time is money. And then it was everywhere, controlling everything, owning everyone. We were supposed to control it, but it got the best of us. We try to run from it, but somehow it always catches up with us. There's no way around it. Tick tock. As a society, we've changed and evolved for the most part, but time seems to have learned new abilities too. It goes faster every day, but it still ticks the same. It makes us want more and more of it. We crave time, we cry for extra time. We never have enough of it. It keeps going faster, escaping the grasp of our hands that now look older because of it. Time is such a vile creature that makes us appreciate its existence and makes death seem like the evil one. We don't realize that time is the one hovering over us, ticking and talking until our time is up. We are always looking for the next tick, expecting the talk, but we are never there to hear it. Always running here and there, not to be late, not to take too long, working 8 hours that suddenly become 12. And death is the evil one? I'm not so sure. If we could just live in the present moment like Buddhist monks hoped we would, there would be no ticking clocks. We would finally be able to breathe and enjoy the moment. The person that's always in the present can't hear the difference between the tick and the tock. I'm not sure if that makes sense to you, but it does make sense in my head for some reason. Well, since I brought up monks, let's be honest here. The real enemy might not be time itself. Time keeps moving, same as yesterday and every other day. The earth keeps spinning, not concerned with the pointers of your clock. The real enemy is in our minds. For me, what keeps pounding in the back of my mind at all times is, quote, there is not enough time, unquote. I have this constant awareness of time passing, how much of it I'm wasting, and why can't I use it better? I got all these ideas and things I want to do, but there are not enough hours in the day, Then I don't want to choose one thing over the other, and I end up doing none of it and beating myself up for wasting all that time. This goes back to the previous episode about how we end up deciding to do nothing when we don't make decisions. But time takes this issue further. Even when I'm doing something with my time, whether that's writing or creating my illustrations, I keep thinking that I should be able to do it faster so I could do more. I look at the clock and I've been working on the same drawing for hours. I didn't even notice, and part of my brain goes, maybe you should work on something else that you can actually finish. This is taking too long. I might be completely delusional, and yet I have a feeling that I am not alone in all this madness. At least I hope I'm not. The thing is, the more I look back and think about all the time I wasted, the more time I keep on wasting. Isn't that something? It's like a coin. Tails, you keep looking back. Heads, you keep planning how you are going to make the most of your time tomorrow. Meanwhile, the jagged edge, the middle, the present is completely forgotten. Practically invisible. And yes, I am full of metaphors today. And there's no better time than right now to listen to another poem. Can I borrow some time? Where did my time go? I swear it was just here. Oh well, I must have left it somewhere. Probably at work or at the supermarket. It could be at the bus stop. I sat in the corner. Maybe it will still be there tomorrow. I doubt it. Who could resist some extra time? I've heard stories about those who try to make up for lost time. Never thought it would happen to me. If only I had been a bit more careful with mine. Hopefully, the lucky person puts it to good use. Wait, could it be in the lost and found at this station? Maybe I should call them to explain how valuable my time is. They could help me get it back. No luck, they don't have the time. Great, now I've wasted mine. I really need that time back. Fine, I'll buy myself some more instead. The delivery might take a while. They've lost track of time. Could I make time? Or find time? I'm glad I still have some left. Will life ever be timeless? My favorite line in this poem is, "Who could resist some extra time?" We tend to believe that if we had more money or were younger or if this or that things would be different. We would do that thing that we always wanted to do. We could do more of what we love. We could create more. We would be happier. But would we? The same goes for money, since time is money. If we had more money, we would do this or that. We would be happier because we would do X, Y, and Z. But it looks like when people make more money, they have less time and want even more money, because now what was more money at first becomes the regular money, if that makes any sense. We adapt to the new situation and it becomes just as ordinary as the one before, and we are not any happier for the most part. The reality is, most of us need to sell our time for money. Unfortunately, few people in the world pay their bills doing what they love. And I'm not here to sell you the fairy tale that everyone can do what they love for a living. But what if we could find a few minutes between the 24 hours of the day to do something we enjoyed? Sure, those minutes would go by fast, but wouldn't that make your day better? And if it's a continuous thing, that might in fact become something bigger one day. I love the concept of finding time because, as odd as it sounds, if we look for it, we can find it. Whether that's 15 minutes on a lunch break or 30 minutes before bed, whatever it is. Obviously, circumstances vary, and some people might not be able to find as much, but there's still minutes tossed aside somewhere. I found it helpful to have already something planned to do when I find those pockets of time. For example, I have ideas for many illustrations that I want to do, but I'll have one selected, ready to go at the forefront of my mind, so to speak. I don't want to spend the extra 15 minutes I've found deciding what I'm going to do. Along with finding time, there's also the concept of making time. So maybe you wake up 15 minutes earlier or sleep 15 minutes later, take a quicker shower. You get the idea. Either way, if you find time or make time, having the activity planned will help for sure. This goes for anything really. Working out, for example, if you block out that time, let's say half an hour before dinner, and you already have the plan to follow, there will be less friction to get it done and less time wasted. But okay, if you have like a huge task and 15 minutes seem like nothing, then what can we do? For me, what works is to break it down in smaller chunks that are actually doable in 15 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever time frame you found. Have you ever watched the TV series called The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt? This is my favorite show of all time, but I am aware that it's not the type of comedy for everyone. Nonetheless, there's an episode that the main character talks about how she endured some of the tough times she had to face. And she says in a flashback, you can stand anything for 10 seconds. Then you just start on a new 10 seconds. I love the absurdity of it, and yet it comes with this palpable reality attached. I might have to watch that show again after this. Alright, back to the topic. As much as I hate to admit it, time is one of the most powerful forces in our lives. Unlike other animals, we are aware of time and how finite time really is. I believe that this notion propels us forward in such a way that it wouldn't be possible without it. Here's a quote I love by William Blake. Quote, "Eternity is in love with the productions of time." Unquote. Is it unquote or end quote? I don't know. Anyway, my interpretation of this is, in the realm of eternity, nothing is new or old. Nothing has to be created. There's always tomorrow. Urgency is unknown. Immediacy is non-existent. Where time is finite, creation is necessary, conclusion is necessary. Tomorrow is not always a given. There's urgency, emergency, immediacy. The motivation to make the most of our time while we have it pushes us forward in such a unique way. Granted that sometimes it pushes us toward the immediate gratification tasks rather than the long, arduous ones, but still, it pushes us somewhere. It seems to me that if we can learn to harness that motivation to work on what's truly meaningful to us, we will hit the jackpot. The slot machine wheels will stop spinning, and right in the middle of all three wheels, we will see 777. The lights will signal a happy emergency, the victory sounds will gather a crowd, and our time will have been worth it. The mind and the time will be one. Until that time comes, I'm afraid we'll have to stumble between minutes, take whatever coins we get, and find drops of joy dripping from the melting clocks. Clearly, I could talk about this forever, but I do not want to waste all of your time. So, what are your thoughts on time? Do you also have a complicated relationship with it, or am I just too invested? Hit me up on Twitter or Instagram and let's talk about it. At least let me know that I'm not alone. Thanks for hanging around till the end. See ya.